AM 1510, FM 93.7, Mile High Sports. I'm Renaud Notaro, and this segment brought to you by Bonnie Bray Flowers at Evans and Holly. They've been around since 1941, and Bonnie Bray Flowers can deliver flowers anywhere in Denver, in Colorado, or anywhere around the world. And guys, don't get her a vacuum. Don't get her a blender for the holidays. Get her flowers at Bonnie Bray Flowers, bonniebrayflowers.com. All right, big weekend, and actually it was just a full weekend that kind of spilled over to this week for the Colorado Avalanche and Joe Sakic, who was kind enough to join me today on Mile High Sports. First off, Joe, congratulations, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. No problem.
Hey, well, first off, how's your fantasy football team doing?
First place, baby. First place. Looking for a repeat championship.
That's good. Didn't skip a beat.
No.
So who?
I'm playing against a bunch of guys that have no clue. So.
Oh, okay. So you're next. Are you going to start like? Are you going to start like a fantasy football blog that you do on the side?
I'm looking into that.
Okay. I'm sure you can.
I'll start on with you. How the segment?
Yeah, I might just start texting you more. And, instead of coming on the show and getting the inside scoop on the Avalanche, I'll just have you help me with my fantasy football team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to send my resume to John and see if he wants to hire me for some drafting expertise.
That's good. We could always do a fantasy football segment on my show with you. That would be
perfect.
That'd be interesting. So what guy are you riding for your season championship?
Oh, it's just my whole lineup.
Oh, okay.
Broncos D last week put up a lot of numbers for me.
That's good. Have you been able to see a Broncos game this year?
Well, I've seen them all. I watch them all on TV. So
okay.
I love I love watching football and staying at home. To me, it's easy.
Yeah, stay warm.
Flip it back and forth to all the other games that you got to watch.
That's
watch
it.
Your players.
Hall of Fame hockey player, former hockey player Joe Sakic joining me tonight on Mile High Sports. There's more to Joe than fantasy football and everything else. We'll get to the hockey. So, what does it feel like now? What did it feel like Monday night? Go through the procedure and what went on and how you're feeling now.
Yeah, you know what? I was, going in, I was kind of downplaying a little bit. Just expected to go there and have a great weekend, but we got in there Saturday night. My family and I, we did a tour of the Hockey Hall of Fame. After it was closed, and it really hit me. Once I went into the Great Hall, that's the first place we went, and then you're in the room and you see all the plaques and all the pictures of all the guys that are in, and it just seeing that and being in there just kind of it really hit me and say, "Oh, this is going to be a lot more special than I thought it was going to be," and it was just an incredible weekend. The next day we did a fan forum, played in the Legends game, which made you realize how much you really miss going on the ice in front of a packed house. And then the following day, Monday we was press conference, the media conference, and the ring presentation, and then the big night. So we had a few hours, pictures, and a big night, and it was just the whole weekend. They just did a tremendous job and took care of us, and we just had a blast.
Former Avalanche captain Joe Sakic with me tonight on Mile High Sports, AM 1510, FM 93.7. All right, so Joe, what was it like lacing the skates up, putting the sweater back on just one more time? How did that make you feel?
Oh, you know what? It was fun, and it's just good going on the ice with all the other. Not everyone was in the Hall of Fame, but with all the other guys and hanging out in the dressing room, and you just kind of. You had that great feeling that you missed, and walking on the ice in front of 18,000 fans with the cheers and playing, although our level of play wasn't the same, it was pretty slow. But it was I just had a great time. It was just like you're back on the ice and lacing up for the Avalanche.
Hey, Joe, let's go back to growing up in Burnaby and being a first-generation Canadian. Your family being immigrants, your parents. How did you first get involved in hockey? What do you remember in being introduced to the game?
Well, my dad, he came over from Croatia, it went to Vancouver. He came over by himself. I think it was 16 or 17, and he started working, and being obviously him being a soccer fan from in Europe, came over, and every day he was watching hockey. So that's how he kind of got into it. But he took me to a game when I was 4 years old, and I gotta be honest, I don't remember much of anything for 10. But as a 4-year, I do remember sitting up in the nosebleeds watching the game, whether it was the game or the crowd or just being there. Just fell in love with it and wanted to play. And a couple years later, I started playing as a 6-year-old, and the rest is history.
And when do you think your parents realized, hey, he might have a future in this?
Well, my dad. My dad always thought that I'd have a chance to make it for whatever reason, but that's being a parent.
Yeah.
And no, I don't know, but I just had success. Started as an 8-year-old scoring a lot of goals, and all the way up through minor hockey. I went to junior when I was a 17-year-old in the Western Hockey League, and halfway through that year, the Central back then, Hockey News said twice a year, I believe it was, Central scouting rankings for the upcoming draft, and so it was like, I believe it was not November or December, the rankings came out, and all of a sudden my name was there ranked in the first round, and that's kind of started realizing, whoa, this is now you're going from midget hockey 3 months before to, wow, I'm ranked to go in the first round of the draft. So it starts happening pretty quickly after that.
Joe Sakic joining me tonight on Mile High Sports. So, and then is there a point where the natural ability takes you so far, and then when you go in the draft, it's like, I got to kind of either pick it up or just continue doing it? It seems as though you grew up with great work ethic and learning that from your father. But was there a time where you realized you had to put in a little extra effort?
Well, yeah, and I could tell you, but in junior, I think all of a sudden you're going from being on the ice 3-4 days a week to every day, and an hour and a half practices and 72 games you have an NHL schedule. I think all that ice time really helped me out. But really, when I got drafted and I broke in, nobody was really lifting weights or doing anything like that. That kind of took off in the early to mid '90s. But I remember in '91, I had two really successful years in Quebec. Went to the Canada Cup trials. I got cut, but what I took from that, I remember the strength coach told me my leg strength was really weak, and I really needed to work on that for explosiveness. So, and that on top of getting cut, I realized, all right, well, if I want to get further along, I got to start lifting weights. And then that year we had the Nordiques got a strength coach, and that following summer I started training a lot, especially with my legs and core. Felt much better the next year. Training camp, much stronger, much quicker, and from then on, I was really took the weights seriously.
Can you remember when your wrist shot developed? Is that something that just came naturally?
Well, I think it did come naturally because I didn't think about it as a kid or junior or really not at any time until really media and other people were talking about my wrist shot. But early years at Quebec, I remember always seeing Guy Lafleur always went on the ice 30, 40 minutes before practice, before anybody else, and all he did was shoot pucks, skate around and shot pucks. And as I started getting older and getting into it, that's something I'd like to do really right before practice, get out there a little bit early and shoot 20, 30, 40 pucks. But what I would do, I would just focus on trying to shoot as hard as I could and as quick as I could, not really picking spots. And I think all the repetition helped.
Joe Sakic tonight on Mile High Sports, AM 1510, FM 93.7. And then when you finally got to Quebec, you settle in. Is there a sense of I've arrived, or was it, were you overwhelmed ever when you were on the ice in the National Hockey League?
No, actually not at all. I think your first games are so excited, so nervous to play. But I had pretty good managers. Peter Stastny and Michel Goulet, especially my rookie, they really helped. And I just kind of sat back. I didn't ask too many questions, but I sat back and listened. I listened and I watched and I saw what they were doing to be successful. So yeah, I just kind of learned like that and took up. But they were good to me, and as you're playing, after a few games, I was pretty lucky. I got a few goals early in my rookie year, and once you get that, you start feeling more and more comfortable as the season went on. You go along the season, you're not overwhelmed. Now you're feeling part of it, and you're really getting used to it.
What was it like being a Western Canadian guy moving to Quebec City, where they speak French? And I noticed you thanked them in French, and that's very important there. What was that like?
It was easy. I mean, it wasn't hard. I went there to play hockey, and obviously I didn't know a lot of French, but for the most part, I think the fans understood that too, and then they would speak English to me and the media. But the coaches, everything was run in English, and so it wasn't a problem. But it was talk about a great hockey environment. I mean, that's not too many places that have more passionate fans than the ones there. So hockey-wise, it was great. It was great to play, make the National Hockey League, and as a kid, a few years before that, I remember watching Quebec and Montreal, the rivalries, and I actually was cheering for the Nordiques. I like the colors, but and then to be part of that, it was pretty special.
Did you know, or was there a time when you realized that this Nordiques team that eventually became the Avalanche had something special going on, and that you had the sky was the limit?
Well, it wasn't looking good my second year where we won 12 games. So,
no.
But you know what? After that year they traded Michel Goulet and Paul Stastny. They wanted to go a different route. They wanted to rebuild and build with draft picks and so. But at the time, you're frustrated. But every year, we have 3 first overall picks in a row, and you can see the young guys coming in. We're getting better as a team, and the good thing about that, it seemed like it was baby steps, but once we figured out, it came quick. And obviously, when they traded Eric Lindros, we'll get a bunch of players in that deal, and we instantly it became a top team. I mean, I think we finished second in our division with 100 and some points. One ahead of Montreal. We played them in the first round of the playoffs, and hockey was real fun then.
Hey, Joe, as somebody that grew up down south, I'm from Mississippi, grew up in Houston, and not around hockey, so it amazed me how you guys were embraced by Denver. I think it was a perfect storm because you weren't just a good team; you were a great team. You acquire Wah, and that just puts it over the top. Do you think that's why you guys were the thing to do in Denver for your first 10 years?
There's no question.
I mean, you guys just won.
Well, winning helps everything, but to come here and the Grizzlies won the year before. The Rockies used to be here, so I mean there was hockey, so people knew about it. But to come in with the young team that we had, that was ready to make that next step, I think that really helped for sure.